Hello Pokebros, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be continuing my version of Ash's journey through Galar. Last time Ash won the Motostoke Battle Tournament and Hop left the group. Also, Ash's Corvisquire gained the ability to Gigantamax once she evolves by eating the Gigantamax curry. But that injured stuff out of the way, let's hop in. We would open with Ash and Gloria traveling through the wild area. They would then get a call from Sonia asking them to investigate a special tree in the wild area. Ash and Gloria would then head there. After arriving, Ash and Gloria would see a bunch of apples hanging from the tree. However, after closer inspection, Ash would realize that the apples were actually Pokemon. After scanning them with his Pokedex, Ash would learn that the Pokemon are called Applin. Ash would begin to walk away. However, he would then feel something smack him on the back of the head. After turning around, he would see one of the Applin on the ground asking for a battle after thinking that Ash was trying to hurt the tree. Ash would then send in Corvisquire to fight. Ash would call for a flurry of drill pecks, but the Applin would use Grassy Glide to dodge them all. The Apple would then attack with a rollout, doing big damage to Corvisquire. Apple would then charge him with another rollout, but Corvisquire would dodge the attack, then hitting a drill peck. The Apple would get hit and would then defeat. Ash, seeing his opportunity, would toss a Pokeball, adding the Apple to his team. Gloria would then congratulate Ash on his new capture. The duo of Ash and Gloria would then continue on their way to Hammerlock. We would then see that the Linoon still follows Ash. Ash and Gloria would then shortly arrive at Hammerlock. After arriving, Ash and Gloria would head to the Pokemon Center to get their teams healed. There, they would run back into Sonia. Ash and Gloria would then explain their experience with the Applin tree. Sonia would be intrigued, and she would then explain if she was in Hammerlock to investigate the 4 tapestries of the darkest day. Sonia would then ask Ash and Gloria if they want to go with her to the tapestries. They would agree. After getting to the tapestries, Ash, Gloria, and Sonia would see another man there. Sonia introduced the man as Raihan, and Ash would remember him from his exhibition match against Leon. Ash would ask if he can challenge him for a gym badge, but Raihan would reveal that this requires 7 gym badges to challenge. This would dampen Ash's mood. The group would then investigate the tapestries. Sonia would then come to the conclusion that the Galar region wasn't saved by 1 hero, but 2. Everyone would then be shocked. The group would then make their way outside. After saying goodbye to Raihan and Sonia, Ash and Gloria would set off towards Stowan's side, where it just so happens both Ash's next gym battle and Gloria's next curry cook-off are. We would then see Ash and Gloria camped out on the road to Stowan's side. Ash would be training with his team when he realizes that Applin still doesn't trust Ash due to his stubborn personality. While Ash is working things out with Applin, Gloria would be distracted by an intriguing aroma. Gloria would then find that aroma had been produced by an Alcremie. Gloria, having always dreamed of using one in her cook-offs, would attempt to catch it. She would first battle it with Toxel, but to no success. She would then send in her first partner, Grookey. Then, after a quick battle, Alcremie would be weak enough for Gloria to catch it. Gloria would be ecstatic about her new capture, and she would then high-five Grookey. After returning to camp, Gloria would see that Ash and Applin were on better terms. Ash would then congratulate Gloria on her new catch. The next day, Ash and Gloria would arrive in Stowan's side. Ash and Gloria would then head for Gloria's curry cook-off. We would then see that Linoon was still following Ash. After arriving at the restaurant, Ash would take a seat while Gloria would get prepared for the competition to begin. Gloria would be a little surprised seeing as Samantha wasn't participating. However, she wouldn't let distract her, then getting her team set. The judges would tell the contestants to start cooking, and Gloria would have all her Pokemon start to cook. However, Alcremie would struggle, though, not having worked with Gloria and her team before. However, Gloria would persevere and would try her best. Then the judges would inform everyone that it was time to give them their curries. Everyone would hand in their curries, and despite the struggles, Gloria still got second place, earning her a good amount of points. Gloria would then pull out her Rotom phone to check the overall standings. There, Gloria would say that she was currently 10th, only a few points behind the person in 5th. Ash would then congratulate Gloria on her good performance. The duo would then head towards the gym for Ash's challenge. However, after coming to the front of the gym, the duo would see Hop there. Ash and Gloria would be happy to see Hop again. Ash would then tell the duo he had just won his 4th badge. Ash would then challenge Hop to a battle, wanting to get a gauge of his strength. Hop would ask for a 6-on-6, and despite only having 5 Pokemon, Ash would accept. Hop would send in a Hitmonlee, while Ash would select Choodle. Ash would be a little shocked by the new fighting type, but wouldn't think much about it. Hop would then call for a high jump kick, but Choodle would dodge, then attacking with a water gun, doing good damage. Hop would then order a brick break, but Strudel would dodge using counter, taking Hitmonlee out. Hop would be a little stunned by Hitmonlee's early loss, but would shrug it off, then sending in Trevenant. Ash would then quickly switch to Scorbunny. Trevenant would go for a Wood Hammer, but Scorbunny would dodge, then landing a Flame Charge. Trevenant would land a powerful Phantom Force, but Scorbunny would then decide to keep his distance and attack with multiple Embers. Trevenant would use a bunch of Shadow Claws, but Scorbunny would continue to dodge, firing off Embers in between. Eventually, after being hit so many times, Trevenant would faint. Hop would then send in Snorlax. Ash would begin to realize something, but wouldn't say anything. Snorlax would go for a Body Slam, but Scorbunny would dodge, then retaliate with a double kick. The attack would do good damage, so Hop would order a stockpile. Despite this, a few more powerful double kicks from Scorbunny would take Snorlax out. Hop would then send in Barbaracle. Hop would then call for a Razor Shell, and due to Scorbunny already being weakened, he would faint. Ash would then decide to choose Applin. Barbaracle would then attack with an Ice Beam, but Applin would dodge, then attacking with Grassy Glide. Ash would tell Applin to do it again, but he would ignore Ash and instead going for a rollout. However, the attack went in too much, and Applin would find himself on the wrong end of an Ice Beam. After taking the hit, Applin would realize that maybe Ash isn't so bad, and he would decide to listen. Ash would then call for another Grassy Glide, taking Barbaracle out. Hop would then send in his Heatmor. Ash would then switch to Pikachu. Hop would order a Fire Lash, but Pikachu would dodge before firing off a Thunderbolt. Heatmor would then attack with a Slash, but Pikachu would block with an Iron Tail before trapping him with an Electro Web. He would then finish him off with one more Thunderbolt. Hop would then send in his last Pokemon, Heliolisk. Hop would go for a Thunderbolt, but so would Ash, and Pikachu's Thunderbolt would overpower Heliolisk, sending him flying. Hop would then order a Bulldoze, but Pikachu would dodge, and finishing Heliolisk off with a Thunderbolt. Hop would be confused. He'd say, "How could I have lost? I called all these new Pokemon. They were supposed to make me stronger." Ash would then yell at Hop, telling him you don't get stronger by catching new Pokemon, and you have to build bonds with your Pokemon to get stronger. Ash would then remind Hop that he replaced Drizzile and Wooloo, his two first Pokemon that he actually had strong bonds with. Hop would then realize the error of his ways, and he would begin to break down. Ash and Gloria would comfort Hop. Hop would then vow to train and become strong enough to beat Ash. Ash would like the sound of that. Hop would then set off on his own again. Ash would worry a bit for Hop, but he would head for his gym battle nonetheless. Ash and Gloria would enter the lobby of the Stow on-side gym, and after registering with the clerk, Ash would head onto the battlefield. On the pitch, Ash would meet B, the Stow on-side gym leader. B would tell Ash that their battle would be a 3-on-3 before throwing out a first Pokemon Pangoro. Ash, in response, would send in Corvisquire. B would order a Rock Slide, but Corvisquire would dodge before using a Hone Claws. Ash would then tell Corvisquire to charge in with a Drill Peck. Corvisquire would do so, but her attack would be blocked by a Night Slash. While stunned, Corvisquire would be hit hard with a Rock Slide. Ash would then call for another Hone Claws. Corvisquire would then charge in with another Drill Peck, this time landing. Pangoro would be hit hard, but would retaliate with a Hammer Arm, slamming Corvisquire into the ground. Then, shockingly, Corvisquire would faint. Ash would be a little surprised that Corvisquire had fallen so quickly, but he wouldn't think much of it, then sending in Applin. Pangoro would go for a Night Slash, but Applin would dodge using Grassy Glide, then attacking with Rollout. Pangoro would take the hit before striking back with a powerful Hammer Arm. Applin would be hit hard, but he would then land a Grassy Glide, knocking Pangoro off balance. While off balance, Pangoro would be hit with a powerful Rollout from Applin, then fainting. B would be impressed with Ash's skill, then sending in her second Pokemon, Sirfetch'd. B would go for a Brave Bird, and Applin would only barely be able to dodge. Applin would then attack with the Grassy Glide, but Sirfetch'd would counter using a Brick Break, dealing big damage. Ash would then order a Rollout, but as Applin charged in, he would be hit with a Leaf Blade, taking him out. Ash would begin to feel a little nervous, as he was now in a 2-on-1. Ash would then send in Scorbunny to battle. Sirfetch'd would charge him with a Brick Break, but Scorbunny would counter with a Double Kick, doing good damage. Ash would then order a Flame Charge, knocking Sirfetch'd back. Sirfetch'd would continue to try and land Brick Breaks, but Scorbunny's now increased speed would make him too hard to catch. Scorbunny would then land a point-blank Double Kick, taking Sirfetch'd out. B would be impressed, and would then send in her last Pokemon, Machamp. Ash and B would then have the same idea, with both of them Dynamaxing their Pokemon. Ash would order a max flare, and Machamp would take the attack, then landing a max G strike. Scorbunny would be hit hard. Machamp would follow that up with a max strike. Scorbunny would now be very weakened. B would order another max Chi strike, but Scorbunny would dodge this time, then landing a max flare. Machamp would then revert to normal size. Ash would call for one more max flare, doing big damage to Machamp, before Scorbunny also goes back to normal size. Both Pokemon now very weakened. Ash would then order a flame charge, and Scorbunny would land the attack head on. Machamp would try to stand, but the damage would be too much, and he would then faint. Ash and the crowd would then erupt in cheers, as Scorbunny would begin running laps around the stadium. B would congratulate Ash on a great battle, before giving him his 4th badge. Ash would then head back to the lobby, where Gloria would congratulate him on earning his 4th gym badge. However, before they could get to talking, they would hear a loud crash. They would then run out of the gym to see what it was. Outside, they would see Sonia. She would tell them that the crash came from the Stow inside mural. Ash, Gloria, and Sonia would then all rush to the mural. After arriving, they would see Bede attempting to destroy the mural with Chairman Rose's Caparaja. Ash would then challenge Bede to a battle, and he would accept. Bede would use Caparaja while Ash would use Pikachu. Bede would order a high horsepower, but Pikachu would dodge, then landing a powerful Thunderbolt. Caparaja would take the attack, then landing a heavy slam, doing big damage to Pikachu. Ash would then call for an Electro Web. Pikachu would do so, then trapping Caparaja. Pikachu would then land one more Thunderbolt, taking Caparaja out. Bede would be in shock, wondering how he could have lost with the chairman's powerful Pokemon. Rose would then appear, and Bede would try to apologize, but Rose wouldn't be having any of it. He would then tell Bede that he is kicking him from the gym challenge. Bede would plead with Rose, but he wouldn't budge. Bede would then walk off distraught. Rose would then thank Ash for dealing with Bede. Just then, the mural would collapse. When the dust clears, the entire group would be in shock, seeing a statue of 2 dog Pokemon. Sonia would be very intrigued, immediately starting to theorize what it can mean. However, Ash and Gloria would set off towards their next destination, Battling Lane. And as always, the Linoon would follow. And that's all for today, Pokebros. I hope you enjoyed. Did you like Ash catching Applin? And how did you feel about what happened with Hop? Comment your favorite part of the episode below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, Pokebros.